Hello, my sweet friends. Welcome to Gardening with Creekside. And I just have to say, yesterday was the official arrival of fall, but in North Carolina, it was very hot and very sticky and very humid. Today is the second day of fall, but it feels like the actual first day of fall. It is the most glorious, delicious weather that it is just perfection. So I'll show you here in a minute. We have got crystal blue, what we call Carolina blue skies. The air is dry. There is a breeze. I am in jeans and a little bit of a summer sweater. It's fantastic. So what a better day than to take you on a tour of the backyard, the back gardens. I just want to give you an overview of how everything is doing, and let's recap and remember, where we started in these beds, in these gardens earlier in the season, and even, a year ago what it looked like, because this space has transformed so much. So as we go through, I'm just going to give you an update on everything. I'm going to give you a couple little gardening tips. I'm going to share with you my plans of things that I'm going to be doing within the next couple of weeks in this backyard space. Lots of fun. So it's kind of like a very informal but yet personal garden tour of this backyard space. I'm currently standing obviously on the back porch because the sun is nice and full and sun and glorious. So sometimes it helps to be in the shadows just a little bit to have a good view. Cameras like the shade. Unfortunately for the video, it's not shady, but fortunately for me, it is beautiful and sunny and glorious. So we're just going to go with it, right? Let's just walk through the garden together and chit chat like some old friends do when you get together and you talk about flowers. So I'm going to literally just turn the camera around so you can see exactly what I see here on this space on the back porch, and you can just see everything, of course, right? The David Austins are climbing up the wall. We've got this great patio area. The fountain is back there. Beautiful grassy field. Look at that sky. I told you it was crystal blue, not a cloud in the sky. Tomorrow morning it's going to be 48 degrees. Oh my goodness. We are in North Carolina, a zone 7B, and when we built our house, I wanted to have kind of that iconic southern house. So we have columns, and there is our haint blue ceiling up there. If you remember, we talked about that with Jack. Coming over here, I'll give you a little update on the deck boxes. When we redid the patio area last year, we had an existing deck, but we took those boards out, left the foundation because it was nice and solid, and then went back with this Trex board, which I really love. Yes, it does get hot in the summer, but we don't have to worry about staining it, and it's just really nice. The plants are hanging in there. It looks to me like they are at the end of September. October is knocking on the door really quickly, but the plants are still doing really well. I mean, all things considered, right? I mean, here we have the Salvia with those sweet pollinators just all over it. We've got a little bumblebee right there. Josh and Roman were able to get the irrigation hooked up for me on these boxes. So you can see we have got the brown irrigation tubing with those emitters in there. So these are getting watered once a day, and look at those super tunias. So we've got the brand new Super Tunia Mini Vista Yellow, and of course the Super Tunia Mini Vista White, which we love. So getting that consistent water, they have done really well. Now, are there some brown spots and things that look a little sad? Yes, absolutely. I'm just going to let this bed go until it comes to a freeze. The pollinators are loving this salvia, so I'm going to let them enjoy the salvia as long as we possibly can. But yeah, I mean, y'all, when I say that these like coleuses and salvias are tall, I mean, my goodness. So here I am, I'm like 5'2", 5'3" on a good day. And now I know the deck boxes are raised up, but I mean, this is like a really good little hedge row right here. And then, so what you can see from this space is the entire backyard. We've got those beautiful 2 new, huge, massive flower beds that we installed early this spring. So they are there. We're gonna go down there in just a second, but everything is just, it's hanging in there. At this time of year, we all get to be a little sad and tired and weary in the garden because, you know, you're just exhausted. And so this has been a really fun year. It's grown a ton. So we're just going to kind of mosey on down through here on the porch. If you know Jerry and I, we spend tons of time on our porch, and to even just reiterate how wonderful it is, we've got the doors open, people. Yes, we do. The front door is open. The back door is open. I've got windows open. It is just fantastic. Now, speaking of fantastic, these cleomes, there are 3 cleomes in each of these little sections. We are going to be dancing with the sun, so just forgive me on that. But this is the Senorita Blanca. It is an annual from us. It is from Proven Winners. It is thornless, and it has little to zero seed set. So again, it is a massive pollinator attractor. I've got bumblebees. I have got honeybees on there. Every time Brent, you know, goes by with her tail, especially right over here, because she is a German Shepherd. Here she comes right now. She goes up, that tail whacks those cleomes, and she'll come in the house and she has little white flowers all over her. The David Austins, they're doing well. I have got one limb up there. My gosh, y'all, can y'all see that? That sucker is huge. I probably should get in there and see what's going on there. But this is Scepter d'Isle. Scepter d'Isle has been in here. This is now its 2nd season in this bed, growing really, really well, right? So a very happy rose. And then my other 2 this one is brand new this year. So for a 1-year growth, it's doing fine. I probably could go in and, you know, attach it a little bit more to the trellis. And then this is the one, all my names, I'm getting mixed up, so I'm not even going to tell you what the names are, but it was moved this year. So they're looking a little bit smaller. But everything else, I mean, they were doing great, right? So we're going to do, we have the Super Tunia Mini Vista White, and then I've got the Cerveza and Lime. Fantastic. I think this is Plectranthus, all annuals, of course. But I am going ahead and deciding and making notes for myself for next year about what do I want to tweak, what do I want to do different in here. Next year, I think what I'm going to do, and y'all can hold me accountable to this. I always change my mind like January, February. But I'm pretty sure what I want to do is right on the borders is only do this Super Tunia Mini Vista White. So that way I will have just this beautiful carpet of white flowers going through here. And then of course, right here on the other side, I do still have the same plants plus the Sun Patience. This is Sun Patience Compact White. It is glorious and beautiful. What I will do though differently is take these and push them all the way back, because I have Sprinter Boxwoods right here. And then I have a camellia. This is the Shishi White camellia from Southern Living. Beautiful double white blooms. It is a hard plant to find though. So that's why we don't talk about it a ton, because it's a really hard plant to find and I don't want to frustrate you. But it is a low and wide camellia. And as they grow, like you can see really right here, how much growth we have here. And then the sprinters are really growing. So that's why I'm going to take those 2 Sun Patience next year and push them all the way up against the wall. That way my shrubs can start to grow together. And then just imagine a sea of white just right here spilling over. Will be really, really fun. And then coming on down, this is the strawberry planter from Michael Carr. I do adore Michael's pottery. It is just fantastic. He is the one that creates the pottery for aquapots. So love his stuff. This is done really well. You'll see I have lost maybe just like one of the mother plants here and there, but overall doing super well. I was talking with a friend of mine, Miss Kathy, who is just an amazing gardener. She is just a wonderful mentor for me to have. And so I always pick her brain when she comes to the nursery, and she's happy to share her information. The concern with the hen and chicks is not our temperatures. They can handle the temperatures fine, no big deal. But our winters are historically very wet and damp. That's the concern. Even though I have really well draining soil in with these hen and chicks, it still could be too much. So what I'm going to simply do is just take it and then put it up on the porch so it's underneath the porch and it doesn't get rained on. If I need to throw some water on it once a month, I can do that, but the cold temperatures will be just fine with it. I will also do the exact same thing to the bird bath that I turned into a planter that has all the chicks off of these hens. They will just be put up underneath the porch where the rain cannot get in them and just saturate them. So that's an update on that, because I know a couple of people had to ask, like, how do I handle those for the overwintering? And then here you can see this bed. Now, I'm just going to be honest. This bed to me is a little wild and woolly looking, but I thought about ripping some stuff out and my kids were like, no, leave it. So it will live until the frost comes. But this is the diamond snow Euphorbia, an annual, clearly massive pockets of white. But I've got two more David Austins here, and then of course this is the chiffon blue Rose of Sharon, which is just a fantastic, look at that bloom. Is that not just beautiful? So even here at the very end of September, I still have a couple of blooms on this and doing really well. It has performed its head off all year. It does bloom on new growth. So what I can do is come in here and really cut it back this winter, and we're gonna do something different here next year as far as the Euphorbia. I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm gonna do. I have some ideas, but I'm still trying to figure that out. Of course, I will keep you updated on that. And then let's talk about these gorgeous Weston urns. I was just here, I don't know, was that a week, 2 weeks ago, 10 days, something like that. And I planted my lovely little unique stone urns with the fall color. I have got the Ms. America, that is a mustard in the center. Look how much it has grown. Like, it is just rocking. Tons of new growth in there and doing just a fantastic job. Love that. And then I've got some little violas. So this was the Beacon Rose viola, and then it was like lemon shades. I did not keep my tags, but everybody is really filling in. Nobody is stretching. Everybody is well behaved, doing great. As I have like foliage, you can tell that this one's starting to be, you know, getting a little old, getting a little yucky. So what I do is I just come in here and snap it, pinch it off, no big deal. If Brenda wants to eat it, great. It's an edible mustard, just like kale. So there you go. She can have that for sure. Now, I do want to go ahead and show you a couple of little updates down here, because I've got some things that I want to do in this space. So coming down the steps, I'll flip the camera around here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But coming off the patio, we have these wide steps that come down, and it just goes directly into the yard. So once you get out of the flower bed, you're in the grass, which is totally fine, because again, this is not a high traffic zone, other than maybe Brenna, you know, running through here every once in a while. But I've planted the black scallop ajuga here to fill in my flagstones, and I planted these, gosh, it was later than this time last year. It's probably like November when I planted them. And so I took quart-sized containers, divided them up, and just planted them between the flagstones. And clearly they have done really, really well. So what I'm gonna do is they're growing on top of the rocks. You can see I've got some little ants in there. So what I'm gonna do in the coming weeks is come in here and actually just cut this off. But it has the roots, and they're very, you know, they're very happy. So what I'm going to do is trim the plant, then take those pieces and fill in areas where there are holes. So there's lots of room to do that. Yeah, see, look at that. Can you see all those roots in there? And so they're really growing on top of those rocks. So I want to just come in here and snip that, then take it, disturb the soil around here, and just plop them in, and then they will do great. So this whole little area is doing really, really nicely. If you remember, we planted some of the phenomenal lavender. I wanted to see how this would do. Kata from Walter's Gardens was like, Jenny, I really think if you try the phenomenal, it is one of the better lavenders for the fall, for the south, because it can handle our more damp, wet conditions. These are doing great. I planted 3 on the other side. 2 of them are doing great. 1 I killed. Not quite sure how that happened, but since 5 out of the 6 are alive, I know it's not the plant, it's the gardener. So no matter how long you garden, you're still gonna kill plants sometimes. So, oh well. So I'll find a replacement. But man, like, look at this. Look how phenomenal this phenomenal lavender is doing. I mean, that has probably doubled in size for the shrub. So I'm super excited, not a shrub, the perennial for that. And then talking about how well everything is doing, these two beds have just done an excellent job. I do want to give you an update on what I call, it's kind of like Emily's rose. My oldest daughter, Emily, who works with us at the nursery, had seen this. It's actually a Julia Child rose standard. So if you Google Julia Rose, Julia Child rose, I will get it here in a second. That is a rose, and they have put it, they had grafted it to some other stock and made it into a tree. Well, we had sold all of them. They were doing great, got rid of them, except for one, and it was sad, pathetic. When I say it was nothing but sticks with a couple of little green sprigs, that's what it was. We planted it, biotoned, we have given it fertilizer, it is on irrigation, and look how beautiful it is. And the great thing about the Julia Child rose is that it not only is gorgeous, of course it's that buttery yellow because she was so famous for all the butter she used, but those roses smell divine. I mean, just glorious. So she is doing really well, very happy about that. And then, you know, let's talk about for the rest of the bed, right? So the Mangaves are in here. You'll notice throughout the bed I have Mangaves. They are not directly planted in the ground. I'll link that video where I put those in there for. It's actually a pot in a pot. I buried a pot. The Mangave is planted in a pot, and then I just slid it down in there. So come winter, I can lift the pot completely out, stick it in the greenhouse, and all will be well. If your peonies are looking like this time of year, no worries. This is totally normal. They're just saying, you know what, Jenny, I'm tired and I'm hot too, and I am ready for my winter's nap. I'm starting to shut down. I'll check y'all back out in the spring and we will be nice and big. Don't worry if your peonies look like this. They are not dying. They are just starting to go dormant, and all is well. Now we have these echinacea. These are the ones from Proven Winners. These are once in a melon. Let me get up right quick. I'm sitting on my knees. Here we go. I want you to see how gorgeous, massive these blooms are. So here is my hand, and I'm trying to get my fingers in here. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous color. And look, right next door, that sweet little honeybee. Echinaceas are just famous for being great pollinator attractors, late summer color, drought resistant. They hate to have wet feet and are doing just great. If you remember when I planted these, there was no blooms on them because they were a little bit smaller. And but my gosh, blooms galore, big buds coming. Was something chewing on this? Yes. Am I stressed out about it? No, it's fine. I will leave the seed heads, that way the little birds can come and munch on them. So going on and through the other beds, as we make our way through, my fairy trail brides are starting to flush back out. They were on the struggle bus. Again, not the plant's fault, it was Jenny's fault. There was not enough water. We got the irrigation fixed, and you can see flushing out with new growth. Even got what we may have thought looked like a dead limb, has all that beautiful new green foliage on it. So don't give up on your plants. Just if something's wrong, fix the situation and they will bounce back. So I've got a fairy trail here, and then there's one right over there that is doing well too. So everything's doing great in here. Let's see, the Caryopteris that I just planted like a week ago, it is hanging in there. Now, do my blooms look bad? Yes. It's been so hot this week, y'all. And even though this plant loves it dry and those drought kind of conditions, it's once it's established. So you can see that it's hanging in there. It's okay. Right now, my goal is just to keep it alive until winter. That way the roots can really grow. Come next spring, it'll bounce back and be just fine. One of the things that we got a couple of comments on this when we planted this bed in the spring. And when you get comments, you know, on your videos, of course, I mean, we read like all of our comments. Every time we get a video out or a post, like we are going through and reading them. So I want you to know that we do see your comments. I try to respond as much as I can, but there's only so much we can do. But there was a couple of comments here and there, and they're like, why are you planting like so sparsely? Like, why do you not like fill in the beds thicker and fuller? So I just was like, yeah, okay, because I know when I plant, I always think in terms of like longevity, long term. You know, for example, right now, if you look behind me or to the side of me, you will see this little gem magnolia. So right here, okay? And it looks sparse, right? Because it's little. Well, little gems will get a nice big size on them. They are one of the smallest magnolias, but still we're talking about like 15 feet tall, 10 feet wide. So imagine going out 10 feet and 15 feet tall, or if not more. It's gonna really fill in this space. When I planted these vertigo grasses, they are annuals. They will not survive our winter, they will die. But that thing is massive. When I planted it, it was this tiny little 1 gallon plant because those vertigo grasses love it hot and lots of water. I knew that. So when I planted it, did it look tiny and kind of like out of place? Yeah, probably so. But look at it now, it's massive. I planted for longevity. As long as similar in the fact, I'll get my words out here in just a second, right here with the Lantana. So we did go ahead and plant a couple of pockets of the luscious citron Lantana, which was new this year. So it is out on the market. You are able to get it. A very soft yellow. We've got a butterfly right over there. Just huge pollinator attractor, right? When I planted these, I want to say these were in, I can't remember if they were grandes or gallons. I'd have to go back and look at the video. But do you see how full and thick this is right here? I also have another pocket, trying not to make you be too dizzy over here. I have another pocket right here on this corner underneath the cherry tree. And when I planted these, I knew exactly what they were going to do. I knew that they were going to get nice and big and full. So I do have video, so I want you to look at it how it is now and how it was when we planted it. Yes, it did look thin and sparse when we planted it, but I knew that it was gonna do this. Look at that. There is a summerific hibiscus back there. That will get like 5 feet tall, 4 feet wide. That is the Valentine's Crush. That will be new next year. So next year, my hibiscus is gonna be a lot bigger. Will I plant all the Lantana this close to it? Nope, sure won't. I'll do something different and I will spread it out. So just because when we first plant, it may look thin or sparse, but you have to envision what it's going to look like. What is my plant's mature size? And I think that's a lot of times people get into trouble, especially when you're planting trees and shrubs. You're looking at that shrub as a 3 gallon. You're looking at that crepe myrtle as a 7 gallon, and you plant it, 5 feet away from the corner of your house. Well, in 20 years, the whole side of your house has been overtaken because that crepe myrtle is now its mature size and is huge and massive. There goes my alarm. Hang on. Let's see what Brent is doing here. All right, sorry about that. I have no idea what I was talking about, so we're just gonna move on to go to something else. So Brenna and I, of course, are back here in the backyard. FedEx came, and so Brenna is a fantastic alarm system to let me know when people come that maybe should not be here. So I had to go turn my alarm off and retrieve her, so the FedEx delivery has been made. We are all good. She is back playing with her stick somewhere behind me, so we can move on and talk about more plants. All right, quick little update. Look at these Sombrero Adobe orange echinacea. Oh my word, people, are these not gorgeous? Like, these plants have gotten so big, and those blooms. Now I know some of you are not into bold colors, and that is fine, that is great. I am, and I love this Adobe series. A huge big pop of color, not Adobe series, Sombrero series. I will get it straight. Got a little flustered there with my can you see her down there? I don't know if you can see her in the shadows. She's very proud of herself. The Sombrero Yellow. So again, massive pollinator attractor. This one plant that I'm going to try to get in on has a butterfly. It has got honeybees all over it. Look at that. Some of them are flying away. Big, huge. On one bloom right here, we've got, oh, there she goes. The butterfly and the honeybees love these plants. Now, what I'm going to do, we talked about this before. These older blooms right here, I know they may look unsightly, but come this winter, I am going to have little finches, my yellow finches, all over these plants eating the seeds off of here. So they will enjoy that. It will do great. Talking about Mangaves earlier, this Mangave is getting overtaken by the purple fountain grass. I'm not worried about this. Purple fountain grass is an annual. It's going to come out. Next year, I will know to plant it further away. The Mangave, of course, is that pot and pot, so I can take it out. And then, of course, the Lantana is just doing great and glorious and beautiful. Now, moving on back over here with the update on the Incrediballs. They look worse than they did earlier. So I think what we're going to do is she's fine. It's the wind now. So with the Incrediballs, what we're going to do is we will remove them here within the next week or so. And because we don't know exactly what's going on with them, we are not going to replant more Incrediballs here. We're going to, I don't know, we're probably going to go ahead and get rid of those because obviously they are not healthy plants, and we don't want to take whatever's going on here and transfer it somewhere else in the garden. We're going to switch plants completely and go with the new gardenia from Proven Winners, the Steady As She Goes. I've got 5 of them pulled aside for me. Beautiful double bloom. The vines smell. Gardenias are one of my absolute all-time favorite plants. So we'll put those in. Jerry had even talked about maybe even removing some of the soil in case there was some sort of something in there. We'll keep you updated on that, but just know that the Incrediballs have not recovered. So again, I don't think it's the plant, because the Incrediballs, other areas are doing great. It's not the plant, it's the location, or something happened to these guys, and because all of them just look bad. So I'll keep you updated on that. More updates. Here we go. The new Summerific. This is the Lilac Crush. There are 3 of them in there, just doing great. I mean, they have been a massive performer for me this year. We got these as what we call a 72 plug. Literally, when I got the plant, it was like this big. The root ball was maybe that big around, and then look at them. But the Lilac Crush is one of my absolute favorites because it has that gorgeous color to it. It will be available next year, and just, yeah, continues to bloom and bloom and bloom and bloom. I mean, I've still got some buds right there that are going to pop out and do great. So it is doing well. We planted a pufferfish when I did the Caryopteris, and look at this. She's doing really well right here as well. I did have to give her a good drink of water, I think twice, just because of the extreme temperatures we've had and trying to get her nice and situated. Doing great. It's hanging in there. Everybody is very happy. And then, of course, the fountain. This is the Hospitality Fountain from Unique Stone, and gorgeous pineapple, because the pineapple in the southern culture is a sign of hospitality. You'll see that a lot in Charleston. There's a massive pineapple fountain right in the heart of Charleston, so that is doing well. I do have to come in and fill it up with water because we've had such high temperatures that it'll get low, every couple of days. So I've got to make sure that I'm out here and keeping the water in that so that it does not run dry. I do want to give you an update on the David Austin roses back here, because we really haven't talked about those a lot this year. Of course, you were with me when we planted them, but they are doing really well. I'm gonna have to figure out if I have too many salvias in here. I will just play that by ear. But right here we have the Poet's Wife, and the Poet's Wife is a beautiful, reminds me of that Julia Child rose as far as the color, right? It's gorgeous buttery yellow, and then as they age they will turn a very creamy white. But I still have lots more buds coming out. lots of good growth. Once the Japanese beetles finally went away, these little things are just happy. In each of my groups of David Austins, there are 3 roses. So I want them to grow up and be one big mass that looks like one big rose. And then over here we have the Susan Williams Ellis. And Susan Williams Ellis is going to be my tallest one. She is a pure white, that almost looks like a gardenia bloom, doesn't it? Something was chewing on it right there. But this is just a very kind of a different bloom on it. Let's see if you can see it here. It's more fluffy, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever, but it will be my tallest one. It is that pure white bloom and will do really nicely here. And then the Rual, I say Rual doll. People were like, Jenny, you're pronouncing it weird. I Googled it and that's what it said. So there you go. Rual Dahl is, of course, the famous children's author, right? James and the Giant Peach. And so that's why it's called the Rual Dahl, because it has this beautiful peachy color to it. If I can get one. Oh, that's not the best bloom on it. That's an older bloom. I've got a gorgeous one down in there. But this is one of my absolute favorite roses because it smells divine, nice and vigorous, loads of blooms on it. So doing great here as well. And then here we have the fountain, not the fountain, the bird bath from Unique Stone. Remember, this was a fountain. Oh my gosh, y'all, it is not a fountain. It is a bird bath. This is a Florentine bird bath. For whatever reason, through, well, we won't get into it, but my bowl was not holding water like it should for a bird bath. So what I did is I turned it into a planter. These are 2 agaves, right? So these are the agaves, and then I just filled in with my little chicks. They are doing well, like they're rooted. They are in there, so you can see that they're nice and tight. This is when I was talking about that I would move it up into the porch for later on in the season, in the winter, because if I did leave it out in the winter, it really would get too wet and they would probably all rot. And I don't want that to happen whatsoever. So this whole area is doing great. I have, of course, more of the blue suede shoes, Salvia from Proven Winners. For us, it is a perennial. I will wait until we get a hard freeze and all of this dies, and then I will just simply cut it to the ground, compost around, mulch as normal, and then just leave it alone. But I am going to leave this as long as I possibly can. That's what I said, like until the freeze comes, because this is such a pollinator magnet. The bumblebees, especially right now, are just all over this plant. There are honeybees in here. I have some butterflies in there as well, but just a huge pollinator attractor. And with your pollinators, like, they don't care. Like, you can get right up to them. I could pet one of these little things and they really do not care about me. As long as you're not going in and trying to like grab them, they're not gonna sting you. I will even come in here, right, and if you need to move something, you just move it, there you go. Somebody's in the way, just give it a little shake and they will leave you alone. So don't be afraid of your pollinators. I know some of you, of course, have bad allergic reactions, and of course you have to be careful with those. But just as a general rule, remember, pollinators are our friends. So we want to plant gardens that support them and encourage them to be here because they are such great little creatures. But without any further ado, I think we're going to wrap it up, just because I've kind of covered this whole backyard area just a little bit. And so it was fun just to give you kind of an update. Of course, we will be back in this space multiple times throughout the rest of the season, because we'll do fall cleanup. We'll, I'll show you what you need to do to your roses. How do you, cut back your guara and your different plants, ripping out, of course, annuals as the season goes on. We have a hard freeze. I do love a good garden bed cleanup. It just makes me feel happy. So anyway, I hope y'all have had fun today and enjoy this little really informal backyard garden tour with some fun gardening tips. As always, we so appreciate you. Thank you for all your love and support. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.